G'day folks, Mr. Durst here again, continuing on from our last video. This time I'm going to show you how to edit the files that we generated in MakerCase. These ones here, pencil box and sticky box, and get them ready for the laser cutter. So first of all, I've opened up a third document. Down here there's a tool called Artboard tool. If you click on that and have a look up here at the width and the height, I've set them at 726mm and 430mm. This is the maximum bed size that the laser cutter will allow for us. So that's why we've set it at that. If our box doesn't fit in there, then we're going to have to do it in sections. Right. So if we open up one of our boxes, at the moment it's all classed as one. So we're going to go ungroup. What that will do is give us each piece individually. Alright, might just move them back because I'm going to redo them a little bit. Okay, so if I do them as each piece and group, then I get the text as well. Group. 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 Now another thing I'm going to do here is change my font color on these ones so that when I bring them in, let's see if there's a palette. No, there's not. When I bring them in to the other file, I know which ones belong to which. It doesn't matter which color you use, I've just picked random ones. Okay, so now I've selected all of them. I'm going to hit Control and C to copy them, bring them across into my document, Control V, and there they are. So they are shape 1. Alright, I'm going to do the same thing with shape 2. I'm going to ungroup it. Group. Move them apart. Group. Move them apart. Group. Move them apart. Group. Move them apart. And group. Move them apart. Oops. Okay, this time I'm not going to change the colors. I'm just going to highlight, Control C, bring them across, Control V. So now I've got my two boxes on the same file. Next thing I'm going to do is come up to View, go Show Grid, View, Snap to Grid. Now my two bottom pieces I'm going to need to join. So if I pull them down here, for example, bottom piece 1, bottom piece 2. Now, when you hit the Alt key and use your mouse button, you can scroll in. When you hit the space bar, see my cursor changes to a little hand? Then if I use my left mouse button, it lets me drag around. Okay, so now I've got one highlighted. I'm going to use my arrow keys on my keyboard to align them to one of the axes. I'm going to pick this one here. And then I'm going to do the same with this one. And then I'm going to bring them in one so they line up. Then I need to go through and delete the sections that I don't want. So this one I'm going to join up over here. This one I'm going to delete. 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 And this one I'm going to join up over here. Scroll out. And there's my new bottom piece. I'm going to regroup that and lock that in. So now when I move it as a single piece, it moves as one. I need to do that as well to the right hand side. So there's the right and there's the right. Same again. Bring it down to an axis. I'll bring it down to this one. Bring this one down. And bring it in. This time I am going to oops. You gotta be careful of doing that. Deleting the whole thing. Delete that one. 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 Bring this one up to meet it. Bring this one over to meet it. In fact, I don't want that one there at all because I'm turning them into one shape. And that gives me my new right hand side. So I'm going to group that one as well. I'm going to do the same thing with the left. Pull it over. And there is that one. And we group that together. So now we've got our new left, our new right, our new bottom. The back of this one we don't need anymore. So I'm going to delete that. The front of that one we still need. So we'll keep that one. And the front and back of this one we still need. So what we're going to do now is get our pieces and nest them up on the board to minimize wastage. So these squares on mine, if you go Object, Edit, Preferences, Guides and Grid. So I've got mine set every 1 centimeter with 20 divisions in there. So every 0.5 millimeter I've got a line. So the fact here that I've got 2 gaps tells me that that's about 1 millimeter. So about 1 millimeter in and 1 millimeter in. So I might even make that 10 mil and 10 mil. That'll give us plenty on the edge. The other thing that we can do is, now that I've got my shape here, to save space, I can come up here and rotate it 180 degrees. And that will let me put it in here. And that will help me keep my footprint down. So I'm going to turn the grids off at the moment, just so it's a bit easier to see. Okay, now that we've got all of these, we can go around and we can delete our text, because we don't need that anymore. So highlight, delete, highlight, delete, highlight, delete, highlight, delete, highlight, delete. Alright, next we want to select our drawing, come up here, and in our stroke, holding down the Shift key, actually before we do that, so we're going to go over to the palette and check if it's RGB. If it's not RGB, click on the Shift key and click on the spectrum, and it will cycle through the color profiles. But we want it in RGB. So for it to cut, we need it at pure red, which is 255. And then up here at the width, we want it at 0.001 of a millimeter. Which is what we have here. Alternatively, if yours doesn't say millimeters and it says points, 0.003 point, so pt. And that's it. So file, save as. Let's call this pencil box. We're saving it as an Adobe Illustrator file. Okay, now that is now ready for the laser cutter. So the red is going to cut. If we wanted it to etch, we use blue. We use black. I might talk about that when we get to that stage. But until then, this is where we're at.